Hi, it's the Irish Gypsy here to do your January mid-month reading. Um, Even though this reading is focusing on the last half of the month rather than the entire month in general, I'm still going to be using the same 8-card format to give as in-depth a look as possible at what the remainder of the month may be bringing us. These are general readings, so if they don't apply or resonate the same with everyone who watches, I suggest you also check your rising and your moon sign, and I continue to use the Gilded Tarot deck. Thank you for those of you who are keeping me so busy with personal readings, and it's been an honor and a pleasure to read for you. Thank you so much for that. I won't forget you or your stories. And thank you again so very much to all of you who continue to watch and listen and subscribe to my channel. Your support and your feedback has, for the greater part, been quite positive and very rewarding, so thank you. Just a little piece of information. I am offering, in addition to my regular personal readings, yearly overviews and outlooks for the year of 2016, and I do those in the form of 60 and 90-minute readings. So if you're interested in those or any other personal readings, just click on the About button on my channel's homepage, and that will give you a little more detail about myself, the services I offer, and my contact information, which is Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. So Scorpio, what does the remainder of January 2016 hold for you? Scorpio, January 2016, mid-month. Scorpio, mid-month, January 2016. One more shuffle. Okay. We have the Six of Wands, followed by the Four of Wands. Beautiful. We have the Four of Swords, followed by the Five of Wands. The Ace of Swords, followed by the World card. And the Eight of Wands, followed by the Four of Pentacles. Lots of Wands and Swords. And for your overall cards, for your overall theme and general feeling and advice for the remainder of the month, you have the High Priestess. So let's take a look here. Okay, I apologize for any long pauses, just trying to put it all together. We begin with the Six of Wands. Wands, the element being fire and air, and Wands is a suit that point to change, movement, action, power, creativity, intuition. It can also point to travel as well. The Six of Wands is the victory card. This is the flat-out victory card of the tarot deck. This shows a man riding back into town. He's dressed in his finest. The banners are waving, his horse is prancing, and he's receiving praise and accolades and applause from everyone who's watching him come back in. So it looks like Scorpio somewhere around the middle of the month, although the time period of the cards not being as clearly defined with beginnings and endings. This could be going on for the first part of January and also going into February a bit. But it looks like you're celebrating something. It looks like you've had a triumph and a success over something. This man is coming back into town, which implies that perhaps you've had the successful completion of a project, or you've maybe received a raise at work or a promotion of some kind. But whatever it is, it looks like you're feeling very triumphant and very successful. Now, this card is paired with the Four of Wands, and I'm kind of getting the feeling that this success, this triumph that you're experiencing or are about to experience, or have been experiencing, was rather unexpected for you. The Four of Wands represents an unexpected success or an unexpected positive occurrence or chance meeting happening. It's very positive and very uplifting card. It's something that you were already looking forward to. The analogy being perhaps you're getting ready to go to a party that you are looking forward to, you know you're going to enjoy, but something actually happens at that party. You meet somebody, or there's some kind of event that happens, that turns out to be rather beneficial to you, a blessing, a gift of some kind, and it has an impact on you, a very significant and profound impact on you in a very unexpected and very wonderful kind of way. It speaks of having I mean, both of these cards together speak of having some kind of triumph, some kind of success, some kind of a blessing, some kind of wonderful thing happening, and it turns out to be actually better than you anticipated. Perhaps it's something that you were working on, that you were looking forward to completing, or something that you were hoping would bring success to you, and it does, but in ways that you didn't anticipate and were rather unexpected. And altogether, a very celebratory coupling of cards. So good for you, Scorpio. Now, that is followed by the Four of Swords and the Five of Wands. Lots of wands and swords in this suit, only one pentacle and one ace, one major arcana card, which points to a lot of thoughts going around and a lot of movement and action. So the Four of Swords, swords the element being that of air, and swords is a suit that represents our thoughts, our perspectives, our ways, our habits of thinking, our logic, our reasoning. And the Four of Swords is a sort of respite, or needing to take a respite, and a time out, a break from something, to take better care of yourself, to rest from something, a battle of some kind or a struggle of some kind. It also points to going within. In this card, you can see a man who is girded for battle. He is laying on his bed, resting. There are three swords above him pointing down, and his own lies close by his hand should he need it. However, for the time being, these swords are not engaged with him, and he is not engaged with these swords. This card speaks of, now this man has either come from a battle or he's taking a break in the middle of a battle. And this card speaks of doing just that, of taking a respite, of taking a time out for something, of needing to perhaps take a few steps back to get a little bit better perspective, but to get some peace and some respite. And the sense that I'm getting, Scorpio, is as the suit is the suit of our thoughts, our ideas, and truth as well, that there's something going on inside of your head, some mental, I don't know, I don't know if it would necessarily be turmoil that I would call it, but I'm just getting kind of a sense of a lot of mental focus on something. You're putting a lot of mental energy on something, and I'm just kind of getting the feeling of not necessarily circular thinking, but just too much. And this card is pointing to needing to take a time out, needing to take a breather, needing to take a respite, and take better care of yourself. For some of you, it could be that you've been working very hard. Perhaps that's why you're having this celebratory period. Something has worked out for you in much better ways than you could ever have hoped for and anticipated. But it represents a lot of work you put into something, and you need to take a time out, to take a rest, to take a respite, maybe to take a few days off. And for others of you, this is going to point towards just being overly focused on something in your head that you're dwelling a little too much on and needing to take a respite from that. And this card also has the subtle advice of going within to seek answers for something, or going within as a way to create a kind of barrier between yourself and whatever this is that you've been pouring so much of your thoughts and your mental energy in. Now, that Four of Swords is paired with the Five of Wands. Now, the Five of Wands can speak to competition. It can speak to conflict. It shows a group of individuals who are sparring with each other. It looks like they're fighting, but they're actually just sparring with each other. They're competing with each other. It's not a to the death sort of situation. And the number can point also to conflict and instability. And part of the Four of Swords, it looks like, Scorpio, that's something that you've been, maybe for those of you for whom this is this would point to something in your job field, although I'm not really getting that, but it could resonate that way for some of you. Perhaps there's some competition going on at your job, or just some kind of conflict. There seems to be some kind of conflict in your life, or something that you've been stewing over, and this coupling of cards together kind of speaks to me of You know, what I'm actually getting is that it's just a lot of mental conflict. There's something that you're dwelling on, something you're putting an awful lot of mental energy on, almost an obsessive level of thinking. Um, and you're having some kind of, it looks like there's, for some of you, this is going to be somebody or a group of people that you're having some kind of conflict, and it could be family members. And it looks like whatever the issue is, it looks like for the time being, nobody's going to win. Nobody's going to win. Nobody's going to lose. It looks like for the time being, um, the answer, at least temporarily, is to take a break from this, to take a step back from it, perhaps get some rest, get a different perspective. Sometimes in the midst of conflict or turmoil, if we can't see a way clear through something, sometimes taking a step back, uh, walking away from it, for a little bit will give greater insight and greater clarity. But it looks like whatever it is, there's some conflicts going on, both within yourself and perhaps in your environment around you. And again, I'm getting for some of you, this is going to be family members. There's some kind of conflict going on with family members. And for the time being, it looks like the advice is that nobody's going to win this one at this point. So it's best to take a step back and to walk away for a little while. And then we come to the Ace of Swords, followed by the World card. So it looks like for those of you who have been able to take that respite, take that time out, it looks like it has culminated in having a new idea about something, or having a new way of looking at something come about. The Ace of Swords, again, swords is that suit that points to our thoughts, our ways of thinking, how our logic works, how we reason things out. And aces point to new beginnings and new seeds. Aces point to the promise and the potential of something happening. Swords is also one of the universal symbols of truth too. So this can also speak to uh, the uh, the beginning of the illumination, or something being revealed to you, some kind of knowledge, some kind of thought process. It looks like whatever conflict you've been in, all of this mental energy, if you've been able to take a step back, to take some time out, and you're come back, and it looks like you're having a fresh perspective on something. It looks like or the advice is to do this so that you can have a new perspective on whatever this is. The Ace of Swords represent having um, a rather powerful and rather profound uh, new set of ideas, or a new way of looking at something. The feeling I'm getting is just new perspective, that looks like it's going to, that looks like the start of something new, a new way of looking at something, a new perspective. Um, you're beginning to see something that you hadn't seen before, and it's coming in a very profound sort of way. Now, the Ace of Swords is paired with the World card, which is a wonderful card to have. This is a card that echoes in a greater degree this Six of Wands and Four of Wands, this celebration, this success, this triumph that you were experiencing, Scorpio, around the middle of the month. The World card is a card of points to being in a place where you've reached some kind of point of achievement with something. It looks like you just it's the World card. It's a major arcana card. And it speaks of being in a place where you've reached the culmination of something, the accomplishment of something. You've reached to, and it also points to being in a place where you feel quite balanced and quite whole in a very integrated and harmonious sort of way. This is a card about kind of standing on top of the world and just feeling very whole and very integrated is what I'm getting. And just it just seems like, at least for some of you Scorpios, you're just going to feel in the remainder of the month, January, as if you've gone through a lot, you've achieved a great success in something, and as a matter of fact, it's worked out better than you could have hoped for. There is this sense of inner mental conflict and turmoil, and some conflict too in your environment and with some of the people around you. But it looks like if you're able to take a time out from that, you're going to come back with a fresh perspective, a new way of looking at it, and perhaps a whole new set of ideas that's going to set you on a new path. You're going to begin to see something you hadn't seen before, and it's going to add to your feeling of feeling quite balanced, quite whole, and quite integrated, as if you're it's almost as if you're at the end of a road of something, and you're looking back and you're feeling just really a sense of accomplishment and achievement. And that's wonderful. Good for you, Scorpio. Now, we end the month, and maybe perhaps too for some of you going a little bit into February. We have the Eight of Wands paired with the Four of Pentacles. Now, the Eight of Wands is a card that speaks, it can speak to communication, it can speak of verbal communication or electronic communication, as we now reside in an age where most of our communication is done electronically. This speaks of communications coming to you and coming to you rather rapidly and very powerful sort of communications. As you can see, the wands in this card are coming down out of the sky. They're coming down, it looks like they're coming down with some force and some speed. And whatever it is, whatever this information, this communication, this message that you're going to be receiving is already in play. The wands have already left their original point and they are headed down, and all there is left to do is to wait for it to arrive. So it looks like towards or at the end of the month, Scorpio, you're going to be getting receiving communications of some kind, messages of some kind, and it looks like it's going to be something that affects you in a very profound way. The Eight of Wands can also speak of travel too, as it's a very fast-moving movement card. It can speak of travel. Perhaps some of you may be taking what I feel might just be a short temporary trip by plane, perhaps. But I think for the vast majority of you, this is going to mean receiving communications of some kind. Now, this card is paired with the Four of Pentacles. Now, the Four of Pentacles is a card of holding on, and the feeling I usually get with this card is actually of holding on a little too tightly, and it's usually a fear-based sort of thing. It shows a man who's holding on to all four of his big, lovely pentacles, holding on very tightly. He's not willing to share them. He's not willing to open his arms and let them go. Um, Perhaps he's afraid that if he drops one of them, he won't be able to get it back, or that if he lets go, he's going to lose everything that he's worked so hard for or worked so hard to achieve. This is a card of clinging to something perhaps that no longer suits you, or holding on to something perhaps that needs to be shared or offered to somebody else. And I think that paired with the Eight of Wands, I think the communication that you're going to get, this can play out two different ways. This can be a communication where you're actually asked to give of something. Somebody may come to you in need, and perhaps it's somebody that's come to you before and ask you for help or money or resources of some kind. And it just puts you in a place where you don't really feel like giving to whoever this individual or group of individuals is, and so you're holding on quite tightly. This could be a communication or messages received that put you in fear of perhaps of losing what you have, and so once again you end up holding on and clinging to these pentacles that you have quite strongly. Now, Pentacles is a suit. It's a very grounded in reality sort of suit. It's the element being that of earth, and Pentacles typically points to things in our tangible world around us, very grounded, reality-based things like money, finances, resources, property, assets. It can point to job and career too. So I feel like the message that you're going to be receiving is going to be about one of these tangible things, your money. Somebody may be coming to you and asking for money, and you don't feel like sharing, or you don't feel like giving them what they're asking for. For others of you, this could be messages coming that perhaps you feel your job is threatened, or you get a message that you're going to lose your job, and it makes you feel like holding on very tightly to what you have left because you're afraid it's not going to last. I'm not sure how this is going to resonate. Probably will resonate different ways for different Scorpios. Let me just take a quick look back over the spread here, see if I can pick up anything else. You know, it looks overall as if you've really found yourself, for the most part, in a really great place. It looks like something that you've been hoping for and investing in and perhaps working on has come to fruition. It's been very successful. You feel very triumphant. It's paid off or worked out better than you could have hoped in some pretty unexpected ways. Um, there does seem to be some conflict, a lot of mental turmoil, a lot of mental focus on something, and a sense of competition or conflict, whether it's within yourself or with the people around you in your workspace, or for some of you, I feel you're going to be in some kind of conflict with your family. It doesn't appear that there's an immediate resolution, so the advice is to take a step back and take a breather and come back with a fresh perspective. And it looks like with the Ace of Swords in the World card, that's exactly what you get, is a fresh and new perspective, a new way of looking at something, a new set of ideas. It's going to set you on the beginning of another path, and one that's going to really lead and culminate in, again, that sense of achievement and fulfillment and wholeness and integration. It looks like towards or at the end of the month, you're going to be receiving communications or messages of some kind. And it looks like for some of you, it's going to be communications about money or assets or resources of some kind. And it's going to be a communication that makes you feel like holding on very tightly to what you have or to what you have left. And as to why, that'll resonate differently. It may be somebody coming to you and asking for money, or there may be messages coming to you about that may bring with it the fear or the concern that you may lose money, and so you're kind of holding on to what you have. So that's interesting. Now the card you have as your overall theme and general feeling and advice of the month is the High Priestess. The High Priestess is a very mysterious sort of individual, and very deeply, extraordinarily deeply creative, intuitive sort of person. This is someone who has absolute faith and confidence in her or his ability to know what the right thing is to do no matter what's going on. This is somebody who understands a lot. This is someone who sees a lot but perhaps doesn't speak a lot about it. And the advice that comes along with this card one of them can be to watch your words and the way that you communicate for the remainder of the month. It looks like there may be some potential for extra conflict. So try and go within and allow your intuition to guide you in your communications with other people, particularly this set of communications that seems to be coming towards or at the end of the month in regards to your finances or resources or job. Then the advice for the remainder of the month would be that of the High Priestess, to trust your intuition. The High Priestess is someone who walks each step in faith in her own intuition or his own intuition, their own sense of knowing what is the right thing or the wrong thing for them to do at any given time, no matter what the situation is. The High Priestess can also speak of spirituality as well for those of you who for whom this applies, whatever your spiritual structure is, God, Spirit, the divine, angels, guides. Along with the Four of Swords, because the Four of Swords is also not just a card of respite, but a card of going within and seeking. There's an element of seeking spiritual answers or spiritual clarity. So the High Priestess is an incredibly spiritual and deeply intuitive person in that sense. So for some of you, that if you feel you need to go to someone for advice or feedback, if there's a trusted spiritual advisor you have, it looks like you may want to pick their brain for a bit for the remainder of this month. But for the rest of you, I think it's really just going to be about relying on your intuition. If you run into what looks like to be minor snags or minor feelings of fear and holding on and maybe some conflict in the midst of all this wonderful success and achievement, go within. We almost always know what the answer is. We have our own inner code of ethics we use as a way of appropriating action, and it's based on our own intuition. And this card is asking you to rely on that quite heavily for the remainder of the month. So Scorpio, what an interesting reading. It looks like you're overall sitting in a pretty good place. You may have a few little conflict challenges to deal with, and maybe some communications towards the end that may cause a little bit of stress and anxiety, but it doesn't look like or feel like anything really major. The advice being to take a time out, take a breather and a respite when you feel like you're struggling with something to which there's no apparent answer, and come back with a different and fresh perspective on it, and really to trust your intuition and let your own knowledge and wisdom and experience guide you this month. So Scorpio, I hope that you've enjoyed this reading. I hope it has resonated with you in some way and given you some insight and clarity on what the remainder of January 2016 may bring you. If you'd like an extension on this, or you would like to take advantage of a personal reading with me or the yearly overview, just click on the About button on my channel's homepage or email me at maggie1maguire@gmail.com. And I look forward to seeing you all in February 2016. There will be some special love readings next month, and I look forward to being able to bring those to you. And as always, I wish you joy, peace, and a happy life. Bye, Scorpio. Thanks for watching.